After another disappointing second round exit, should the 76ers look into trade Joel Embiid? On today's video, I'm here to break this down and give my opinion on Joel Embiid's future with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now before we get into it, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. It really helps out this channel. And tell me in the comments, where do you rank Joel Embiid as a player in the NBA? Like, you say he's the best player, the second best player, the third? Let me know. So let's get into it. First off, let's go look what Joel Embiid has done with the 76ers during his whole career in Philadelphia. Joel Embiid was taken with the third pick in the 2014 NBA draft, and it was a nice pick for the 76ers. They finally get a player of the future. But once Embiid was drafted, he did not play his first 2 seasons in the NBA. He was out with a foot injury, which was kind of saddening that it took 2 years for us to finally see Joel Embiid play a basketball game in the NBA. Joel Embiid's first game came on October 26, 2016, and he played a nice game. 20 points he had, 7 rebounds, didn't have the best shooting percentage, but I mean, what are you gonna say? It's his first game ever in the NBA. Your shooting percentage ain't gonna become out the gates amazing, but it was a nice game for Embiid, and this was a little to show what was coming from Joel Embiid. In that 2016 to 2017 season, Embiid only ended up playing 31 games. He averaged 20 points. He looked okay his, I guess, official rookie season, you would call it. But the next season, that's where stuff would really start to turn up for Joel Embiid, and this is where the Embiid that we know now would start to come from. The next year, Embiid would be selected as an all-star, and stuff would start to heat up. He averaged 22 points, a block per game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. He was honestly starting to cook up, and this Sixer team started to actually become a team. They were third in the Eastern Conference, which was amazing for Joel to finally get some playoff action. Embiid and the Sixers would go ahead and win their first playoff series versus the Miami Heat in 5 games, even though Embiid did not play the first 2 games of those series. He was out, but they would go ahead and play the Boston Celtics the next series, and they would lose in 5 games, which, I mean, it's the Boston Celtics. I mean, what do you expect? So Embiid gets a little bit of some playoff experience under his belt. He needed this. The next year, this is where stuff starts to just get wild. And if you know what I'm about to start talking about, you know, because we're about to dive into the next season. This year, the 2018 and 2019 season was a nightmare for the Sixers the way it ended. This was the first year that the Sixers finally really had a squad. They had Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. They actually had a squad. This was before Ben Simmons was garbage and didn't play games. Ben Simmons was playing games. He actually looked nice. This season gets out of hand. Embiid ends up averaging 27 points, almost 2 blocks, 13 rebounds. He is pretty much an all-star player. He's looking great for the Philadelphia 76ers, and they go ahead and they end up being the 3rd seed and finishing with a 51-31 record. Things are looking nice, but then the playoffs come around. They end up beating the Nets in 5 games in the first round. Things are looking pretty easy for the Sixers, as they should be. But then they go ahead and play the Toronto Raptors in the second round. This series was wild. It's up and down. It's going around, going crazy. It ends up going to a Game 7. And the Raptors inbound the ball with the final seconds left. And of course, as we all should know, Kawhi Leonard hits probably one of the most insane and maybe one of the most luckiest shots ever to send the Sixers home in 7 games. They go home in heartbreak. It's very sad the way that this Sixers team went home. But yeah, that was a really realistic first chance to actually go to a conference final. And that's going to also be something we talk about later, the conference finals. That was one of their first chances to go, and they of course end up not going because of Kawhi Leonard. What happened in that offseason was honestly crazy though. The Sixers chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, which to this day was a horrible idea, and they clearly should have picked Jimmy Butler. That's why we get that infamous clip of Jimmy Butler saying, "Tobias Harris over me."
Tobias Harris over me?
Because that was a dumb idea and they should have kept Butler. But the next season, Embiid kind of falls off. He only starts averaging 23 points per game. The Sixers start losing games. Embiid gets hurt a little bit. And they're only the 6th seed in the East, which of course that was all bubble year. The next year, all this other stuff happens, bubble. And they end up just, not really doing much. And they end up getting sent home by the Boston Celtics in the first round in 4 games. They get swept. There's not much they can do. In the offseason, they do something though. They fire their head coach in Brett Brown and bring in Doc Rivers, which we're going to get into that later. And they hire a new GM in Darrell Morey. I might have said that wrong. I apologize if I said that name wrong. But the Sixers end up being the 1 seed in the East. It's out here looking crazy. Embiid is kind of an MVP candidate at this point. People are talking about, ooh, Joel Embiid MVP question mark? This could be big. Joel Embiid ends up averaging 28 and 10, and they end up being the first seed. Like I said earlier, they play the Washington Wizards in the first round, beat them in 5, and then of course in the Atlanta Hawks second round series, this is where the Ben Simmons controversial stuff starts happening. The Sixers end up having a 2-1 lead in the series. Keep this in mind, the Sixers love blowing leads. So first off, they have that. And then of course there's a controversial play that Ben Simmons passed open a wide open dunk to dunk on Trae Young, and he doesn't dunk on Trae Young, he passes it out, and that's another reason that caused the Sixers to lose the game and eventually lose the series in 7 games, but it's alright. They come back the next year. The next year, Embiid averages 30 points, 11 rebounds, and a block. You know, stuff are looking okay for the Sixers. Embiid's averaging 30. He's going on a tear. They even trade for James Harden midseason, which the whole Brooklyn Nets thing, that was a whole dumpster fire towards the end. And James Harden said, yeah, get me out of here. Send me to the Philadelphia 76ers. Stuff is okay, looking nice. All right, stuff is looking okay for the Sixers after that. And then they go ahead and play the Raptors in the first round. They beat them in 6 games. They pretty much are like, yep, Raptors, yep, we're done with you. 6 games, they're done. Embiid ends up missing the first 2 games in the second round versus the Miami Heat after that Toronto Raptors series, which that's also something to think about. Embiid loves getting hurt when it comes to playoff time. It's inevitable. Embiid getting hurt, death, taxes, and Embiid getting hurt in the playoffs. It's all guaranteed in life. Embiid would end up coming back. He wouldn't be playing the same though. Like if you look at his game log, 18, 24 points, 17, 20, they end up losing to Miami Heat in 6 games. So it'd be like, well, we lost again in the second round. If you cannot see this trend going on where they just keep losing in the second round, they haven't even been to the conference finals yet. And then after that, we have this season. This season, Embiid averaged 31 points, first in the NBA, 10 rebounds, 8th in the NBA, 58% field goal shooting. He's MVP. Everyone's like, is this the Sixers year? Honestly, I'm being honest with you. No one even said, is this the Sixers year? Because guess what? The Sixers curse hit him again. They would end up playing the Brooklyn Nets in the first round, and guess what? He ends up missing the 4th game of that Nets series and the 1st game of the Boston series. Why? Because he's injured, as usual. Here's this crazy thing though. They would end up leading the Boston Celtics 3-2. It was looking wild. I was like, wow, are the Sixers about to go to the cup? But guess what? Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers on the same team. You got the master at blowing leads at the head coach, and you got the guy who's just cursed to stay in the second round. Boston brings that thing to 7. Tatum drops a freaking master class, and they end up going home again. And now look where the Sixers are. They end up firing Doc Rivers. I don't even know why he was hired anyway. He's a master class at blowing leads. If you need Doc Rivers to go ahead and blow your lead, he's got you no matter what. Also, it sounds like James Harden and the front office are also having beef now, so he also doesn't want to be there. So the reason why I broke down all Embiid's seasons and what he's done for the Sixers is to answer the question, should the Sixers trade him? Listen, this man is cursed in the second round. I honestly think at this rate, the Sixers, he's not going to win a championship with the Sixers. This is honestly what I think. He's at age 29 now. He is almost 30 years old and haven't been to a single conference finals. This is how bad it's in. They keep getting second round exit after second round exit after second round exit. And I don't think anything is honestly going to change this year. If Harden goes ahead and leaves this offseason and gets traded, it's really just going to be Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I don't see that team winning a championship or getting out of the second round. Not in this East. Boston beats that any day of the week. So honestly, like I said, I think the Sixers do need to sit down and think about, do they need to eventually trade Embiid? Because listen, because the playoff success, it's not there. This is not equal championship. Trust in the process with Embiid, it's clearly not working. That's the whole reason why I broke this down, just to lay down the facts about, I honestly think after this year, if it again doesn't work out, and I don't think it will work out, they need to start thinking about what they should do with Embiid in the future of this Philadelphia 76ers team, because honestly, it's not looking good. Like I said, Embiid's 29 and he still hasn't been to a single conference finals. That's pretty bad, and he's almost age 30. And these injuries, as soon as he gets older, and he's already 29, like I said, they're just going to keep piling and piling up, and it's not looking good for the 76ers in my opinion. So eventually, I honestly think in the future they might need to be thinking about trading Joel Embiid. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't really think it's going to happen next year, but the future coming soon, maybe Embiid will even ask for a trade request himself, because honestly, Embiid and the Sixers, honestly, it's not looking like a good fit, and honestly, I don't think this is going to bring you a championship in Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy a video, please drop a like and subscribe. It really helps out this channel, and let me know what you guys think about the Joel Embiid situation in Philadelphia. Do you think Embiid's eventually going to get out of Philly? What do you guys think about it? Because like I said, I think in a few years, stuff could change. But watch these 2 videos right here too. Great work by me. I love them. Hope all of y'all have a nice day.